This is a special night to be with your team and watch the brackets be unveiled and see where you're placed. And now, after waiting for a week to finally have an opponent in front of us, our team is very excited to be the 2 seed in the region and just looking forward to getting our journey started on Friday. I think the body of work from our team, what they were able to do through the course of the season, playing one of the toughest schedules in the country, playing one of the toughest conferences in the country, and then certainly the culmination of being able to win the ACC tournament last weekend, to be able to go through 3 really hard teams to do so, I think just speaks to the season that we've had. And they were rewarded with that, with a 2 seed, which is great. And which means nothing as we start games now, because it's all about, can you play well? And that's what we're focused on, is to put our best foot forward when the games start on Friday.
Thanks, Coach. Jordan, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. First, I just want to say congrats on being the 2 seed. You have a lot of momentum going into the tournament, coming off that ACC championship win. But I guess just talk about heading into the tournament with your first game on Friday. Just talk, what are some biggest things you're wanting your team to work on as they prepare for the first game this Friday?
I think the biggest thing that we've tried to do is just continue to grow our consistency as we've practiced. Execution is really important late in the season and certainly in tournament play. So working on our execution on both ends, understanding our schemes, just fine-tuning those types of things as we head into Friday and head into March. And that's kind of what we've been working on. Now that we have an opponent, obviously we can start to work on more specific things related to that opponent, but I have not watched them yet. But we'll put together a game plan here, tonight and tomorrow, and work on specific things related to Lehigh.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Royal, over to you.
Hey, Coach. Again, congratulations on the number 2 seed. Coach, when the brackets were released, what was just the emotion just from the team as you all anticipated that, you will definitely be hosting a home game Friday, but what was just the immediate reaction once the brackets were released, just from yourself, the coaching staff, the team as a whole?
Excitement. I mean, it's still awesome. The players are amped up and ready to go, and it's still really cool to see your name up there, even though you're in the tournament. It's still really cool to see your name up there and to see the bracket and all of that as you grow up, observing March Madness. And I was fortunate enough to play in March Madness, and now as a coach in March Madness, this is what you build toward. You build toward this time of year, and it's just an awesome feeling to see your name in the bracket.
To follow that up, Coach, not playing since last Sunday, I believe, back in Greensboro, having basically a week off, and you don't play until Friday. What are your plans, or what's like the main thing that you set in stone for the team in regards to not having any type of rust from that, almost 2-week layoff, nevertheless?
Yeah, I think the good thing is that almost everybody in the tournament experiences the same thing. We all have a big gap. For us, it was important the first week, going off of 3 games in 3 days, to get a lot of rest. So we tried to give them some time away to recharge physically, mentally, emotionally, and then get back and make sure we don't lose our fitness too much. Obviously, there's an advantage for us for being at home, being able to be here, not having to travel, and just be raring to go. I mean, I think everyone's excited and looking forward to playing.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Lewis, over to you.
Hey, Kara. For you all, just big picture, getting a chance to host this first weekend, what does it mean to you all as a program? What does it mean personally to you as a coach?
I think hosting just validates the body of work that you've put together this season, that they chose you to be a host. Only 16 teams in the country get to have that honor. And So it's cool that our team has earned that in the eyes of the committee. So I'm very proud of that. We know as well as anybody the last 2 years that guarantees nothing. We hosted 2 years ago, didn't make it out. We didn't host last year, made it out. So just by virtue of hosting does not guarantee that you're the team that's going to advance out. And we know that, like I said, better than anybody because we've had both results in the last 2 years. But there is a feeling of pride to be named one of the top 16 teams going into the tournament. And for our fans and for our Duke community, I think it's really cool that for them, they don't have to travel. Hopefully we'll have a bunch of fans coming out to support our team.
Thank you.
Miles, over to you.
Hey there, Coach. So, they say defense wins championships, and defense has been kind of a hallmark of the teams you've built here throughout your tenure. But at the beginning of the year, with the departure of Kendi especially, the paint defense was kind of a weakness for the team, allowing, I think, almost 40 points per game in non-conference play. Got that down to around, I think it was 26 points per game during conference play, and then it was 20 points per game during conference tournament play. So, kind of how do you feel like that position group is? And like you talked about it in a presser in November, I think, about how the forwards, because they have the whole vision of the court when they're in the paint. How do you kind of feel that Toby and Delaney are prepared for, like, obviously the biggest test of their young careers as defensive anchors?
I think all of our forwards have grown defensively throughout the course of the season. And I felt that would happen because our entire forward group is freshmen and sophomores. So we're just really young there and didn't have a ton of experience. Delaney and Jaden, as sophomores, they played a lot as freshmen. They have become, our anchors defensively in terms of their consistency and their knowledge of the schemes and their discipline within what we're trying to do. And then Toby and Woody have grown and come along and had a better understanding for what we need from them. And I think have just steadily improved defensively as the year has gone on. And so we've been able to, I don't want to say cobble together because they're talented players. That makes it feel like you didn't have talent there, but we definitely don't have a true center. So we have had to kind of do that by committee, and we're smaller in the front court than a lot of teams. But those four have done a great job for us of steadying us, of being leaders, and of helping anchor our defense. We're going to need that in the tournament, and hopefully they have a lot of confidence going in. They've been able to do it against the second toughest schedule in the country, and we're going to need our defense in the tournament for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Jaden, over to you.
Kara, I know y'all are focused on the first game, but I do want to know, just seeing Oregon with Oregon with Deja Kelly and potentially facing Carolina in a Sweet 16. Were you surprised to see, the bracket kind of shake up how it did?
No, as I said over in Greensboro, I didn't care where we were seated and care where we were placed in the bracket. You got to worry about in March the game in front of you, and if you start to worry about potential matchups or this or that, it's pointless worrying or wondering. Your job is to win the game that's in front of you, and if you do that, then you'll advance and you'll play the winner of the other game. It's just I've been in this sport too long to see people talk about matchups that sometimes never materialize, right? And we don't want to be the reason that it doesn't materialize. We want to make sure we're there, which means we've got to be focused. So, yeah, obviously I covered the tournament. I did the selection show for 15 years, right? And talked about all the potential matchups and all that. So I know how to do that probably better than anybody, but it doesn't serve you well in the situation, in the position I'm in. Like I said, 2 years ago, we hosted and we didn't make it out. So we need to focus and try to win our first game. And then if we're so fortunate to get to that second game, we got to be all in there to try to get out.
Royal, back to you.
Coach, I know throughout the season, we've talked and numerous times about, the unbalanced ACC schedule and just a lot of the tough road games and the tough road environments that you were in that kind of get your team prepared for this moment upcoming for the NCAA tournament. Can you just speak on just even what you even went through in the ACC tournament with Louisville and Notre Dame and NC State, who beat you earlier in the season? What are your main takeaways from being battle tested, playing in those tough road environments, playing an unbalanced ACC schedule that you look forward to taking going on throughout March Madness?
We just try to build the schedule to prepare ourselves for March. Doesn't guarantee we're going to win in March, but we want to know about our team. And I think the quickest way to know about your team is to play hard games. In easy games, you learn a little about your team, but you don't learn everything. In hard games, on the road against top teams, you get exposed. Sometimes you lose, and you learn about where you need to grow and where you need to improve. That is valuable for me as a coach in the regular season. That's why we play the schedule we do. That's why we're always going to play one of the toughest schedules in the country, because I want to know what I have, and I want to know what needs to be fixed before we get to March. And so now we have all that information, and now it's incumbent upon us, not just the players, the coaches as well, to try to fix those areas and try to be at our best. Your goal is to be at your best when the tournament starts. And every game that you're fortunate to play in this tournament, you have to play your best, because the other teams these are the top teams. They're going to be playing their best. So that's why we play that schedule. Obviously we're in one of the best conferences in the country in the ACC. The ACC demands that of you, that you play well each night or you will not win the game. And so we feel good. We feel like we are battle tested coming into March, but we have an understanding that it doesn't guarantee us anything. We have to now go out and win these games.
Thank you, Coach.
Miles, back to you.
Hey, Coach. So just kind of a question on your general philosophy when it comes to these games in March. When you're making game plans, are you more focused on coaching a game plan and building a game plan that plays towards your team's strengths, or is he able to take advantage of the opponent's weaknesses, or kind of a mix of both? And where do you kind of see that taking you against Lehigh, a team that has our limited opponents to 27% from three all season?
Well, I haven't watched Lehigh yet, so I can't give you anything detailed on them, because we just found out a little bit ago that that's who our opponent was. But I'm quite certain that they're a good team. I think it starts with just watching them, which I'll do as soon as you guys stop asking me questions, and seeing kind of how they play and, what are the things that they are strong in, and analyzing that with our personnel, and then figuring out how we want to deploy our personnel against their schemes that they run, and figuring that out. That's not something I do on my own. Obviously, I have a great experienced assistant coaching staff, and we have usually a person that is in charge of the scout. An assistant coach is in charge of every scout, so they kind of lead the way in terms of the conversation and the meeting. And then we all put our input in, watching the film together, and try to come up with a plan that we feel like puts our players in the best position to have success. So it's probably a combination of all of those factors that you asked about. What are we strong in? What are we weak in? What are they strong in? What are we weak in? What's the game plan that augments the strengths of our team as much as possible? And, how can we make it difficult for them? You can never take away everything against a good team. You're not going to come up with a game plan that takes away everything. So you have to pick and choose what you're trying to limit. And, always say, great. If you're going up against great teams, there are no solutions. There's only compromises when you're putting together a scout. You have to kind of decide, what are you willing to give up a little bit in, and what do you want to take away? Because you can't take away everything. So you have to figure out as a coach, what you're willing to compromise in certain areas when you're going up against a good team.